Okay, so in this mini lesson, we will be talking about why evaluative reflection is important. So, we've been doing reflection throughout the semester. You guys have noticed that part of every assignment is to do some in process monitoring reflection. We do a lot of planning reflection when we're brainstorming and working on ideas for a paper. Now we're going to talk about evaluative reflection because this whole project is based on this particular type of reflection. So, we know that reflection involves looking back on what has been done, but oftentimes people stop there. They just look back and say, oh, yeah, that happened. But key to the definition of reflection is making meaning out of what you're looking back on. So here Conway says it's not just looking back, but it's also learning lessons from what did or did not work. And that's really key to reflection. That's part of the whole reason that this project exists, is to help us learn from what did work over the course of the semester and what didn't. So a lot of students say, and rightfully so, that I do reflection all the time. And we do. We think reflectively. We think back silently over things that have happened or processes that we're engaged in. We talk through things with each other. That's verbal reflection. So that's a different kind of reflection that's not actually written reflection. Sometimes people reflect best when they are active. They'll do active reflective thinking, which includes walking or pacing, stretching, running, taking a shower, doing some cleaning, and all of these contribute to reflective thinking, but it's not necessarily the same as reflective writing. Reflective writing is different because it takes those reflective thoughts that you're either silently thinking or talking through or even just kind of mulling about as your body is moving, and you are putting it to a particular purpose. So in writing, we can work things out, we can plan, and after we think, we can do some reflective writing to plan before we begin actually formally drafting something. So this kind of reflection includes brainstorming, outlining, research memos, all kinds of things. We can monitor our progress. So in the middle of a writing progress, we can pause to examine why something is or isn't working. Sometimes we do this in emails. Like I might email a friend or a colleague a question about writing in the middle of a writing process. Evaluating comes after the fact. What went well? What did you learn? So why is this important? Well, first of all, reflecting in writing helps us to access metacognition. So metacognition is that silent reflective thinking about your own process or your thought process, your writing process. Oftentimes that happens and we kind of don't even notice. It'll come and it'll go. Sometimes we might even be like, what was I thinking again? Whatever. But if we write it down, we process those thoughts through the language centers of our brains and articulate them. And that helps us to access that metacognition in a more concrete way. This can lead to better writing. There are a lot of research projects in my field of rhetoric and composition focusing on this very thing, how reflection ties to writing. And one of the things that we can see is that students who know how to reflect in their writing also tend to know how to write in other genres as well because they're accessing this metacognition about their writing process. They understand who they are as writers, and they're able to process all of that through their language centers and write it down. Writing begets writing. Practicing writing makes stronger writing. So this is the same with reflective writing, but it's actually kind of more purposeful because you're thinking deliberately about your writing process. The third reason why reflective writing is important is that it creates a written record. So remember how we said sometimes you can just think a thought and then it comes and it goes. Yep, there it goes. And then you're like, what? I don't even remember what I was thinking. Putting your reflective thinking into writing creates a written record that you can access later. You can come back to, and most importantly, you can learn from. So this is a great quote, that the act of writing down our thoughts formalizes this reflective process, and it enables us to clarify ideas and identify themes more easily. So for this project, we're going to be doing some evaluative reflection, and you're going to be looking back on what you have learned about writing in this course and how the writing itself has progressed throughout this term. We can access these two types of reflective thinking by writing down answers to the following questions. What knowledge did you gain in the processes of this course? How does your current knowledge, this is a nice compare and contrast question, how does your current knowledge compare to your knowledge prior to starting? It could be this assignment, it could be this course. Thirdly, what worked and what didn't work as you wrote? As you wrote this assignment, as you wrote your analysis essay, as you wrote your very first writings at the very beginning of this class. What have you noticed that has worked for you and what hasn't worked for you, and why? How did your approach to each step of the writing process throughout this semester help or hinder your larger goals for the assignment, for the course? And same question, but for yourself as a writer. How has your approach to writing changed you? How are you as a writer different today than you were at the start of this course? So hopefully this little mini lesson helps to inspire you as you start doing some evaluative reflection in this project. I'm so proud of you guys. Keep up the good work. Last project to go. Happy writing.